Good morning, everyone. Hi, Mr. Ramsden here. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to another edition of our Read Along With Me video series. This week, we're going to be tackling a new story called Aurora, A Tale of the Northern Lights by Mindy Dwyer. And it's this book right here. Many of you may have seen this book before. Teachers may have read it to you already. I know for sure it is in our library at Pleasantville School. So when we get back to school, make sure you check it out. It's a great book. This particular copy of this book was given to us by some dear friends after my daughter was born. My daughter's name is Aurora, and we gave her the name Aurora after the Northern Lights. And we always thought they were just beautiful. And one of our favorite parts about living in this part of the country and such clear, big skies where we can see the Northern Lights pretty frequently, especially when you're outside of Saskatoon. Now, this story is about a young girl named Aurora who is very adventurous and outgoing and courageous and a whole bunch of other awesome things, and is responsible for collecting beautiful colors and creating the Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights. So I want you guys to hang around with me as I check out this story. I hope you enjoy it, and then stick around until after the book, and we're going to have a short little book talk, and we'll just chat a little bit more about the story. Okay, let's get right into it. Early one morning in a long ago northern land, a baby girl was born. Her mother named her Aurora, which means rosy light of dawn. This faraway place knew only a daylight sky, for the sun would glide from one end of the sky to another, hugging the horizon, but never slipping below. As each day passed, only the changing colors of the sky, from shimmering blue to an eerie green to the softest pink, would signal the time of day. Carpets of tundra filled with delicate wildflowers stretched as far as the eye could see in this land without darkness. Caribou lived alongside Aurora and her people. Each year, the caribou gathered into great herds and traveled an old familiar path to a mysterious midnight place, later returning to their home of light and flowers. Aurora grew into a dreamy young girl, curious about what lay beyond the distant horizon. She wondered where the caribou went and often daydreamed of traveling with the herds, prancing across the tundra. Under the pink glow of an early morning sun, Aurora spotted a lone caribou. How strange that he was not with his herd, she thought. At first she followed him, watching the caribou playfully kicked up his hooves. Then Aurora ran, and the caribou ran, frolicking together across the tundra in a magnificent dance. Before she knew it, Aurora was in the open tundra, far from her family. Feeling adventurous, she was ready to walk the way of the caribou. Soon Aurora grew hungry. Deep in the purple shadows, she found some blueberries. She plopped to the ground to rest and enjoy their sweet taste. The velvety blue of the berries reminded Aurora of the story grandmother told of a place where darkness fell each night. The sky turned a deep and peaceful indigo. How she longed to see this for herself. As Aurora continued her journey across the softest green tundra, she was comforted by the memory of her favorite grandmother. Grandmother's gentle voice told once more of the dark sky Aurora had never seen. In the dark times, the sky wrapped itself around us. Inside each one of us, there is a glow that lights the way. It keeps us warm, and we are not afraid. Grandmother's words were a mystery to her. Aurora felt sure she would understand them when she arrived in the land of the darkness fell and where the sky turned the color of ripe blueberries. The caribou continued to lead Aurora in her long journey from home. To be safe and warm in the dark place, Aurora began to collect colors from the daylight sky. As days passed, Aurora gathered the delicate pink morning light and put it in her pocket. The midday light was shining silver blue, and this she placed in her pocket too. Twilight glowed a luminous green. This was Aurora's favorite time of day, and she filled her pockets with its color. She walked, then danced with the changing colors of the sky. Suddenly, a boreal wind began to snap at Aurora's dress, and she felt its chill. The sun dipped below the edge of the earth, and the sky closed in around her with the deepest color she had ever seen: darkness. This must be a place of mystery, Aurora thought, as she gazed at the glittering sky. And though this darkness was strange and new, Aurora felt safe with the light she knew glowed inside of her. She reached into her pockets and flung the colorful lights she had gathered into the sky, into the dark sky. Aurora played with the lights, admiring the way they danced across the sky, just as she had danced across the tundra with the lone caribou. The lights grew ever brighter, shimmering like a curtain of color in the darkness. Aurora's family saw the dancing lights and followed, hoping they would find their beloved daughter. Although she had brought the colors of the daylight sky to comfort her, Aurora found that she was not afraid of the dark place of in the indigo sky. She now understood grandmother's mysterious words. Together again, Aurora and her family celebrated her journey with the caribou, which had led Aurora to discover courage and her own inner light. The adventurous spirit of Aurora lives on. When you gaze into the night sky of the north and see the dancing lights, you are watching Aurora's many colors collected on her special journey long ago. Okay, you guys, that wraps up our story of Aurora, A Tale of the Northern Lights. And now we're just going to have a few little discussion questions. First thing is fiction or nonfiction story. So this is kind of a big story or a big question because fictional story means that its story is made up. And nonfiction story means it's based on truth and real events. Now, I think we can safely say that the Northern Lights and the Aurora Borealis, the idea of it is based on accurate facts. In the night sky, in especially in northern parts of the country and the world, you can see the Aurora Borealis at night dancing across the sky. Now, there are scientific explanations for the Aurora Borealis and what exactly causes them. But all around the world, historically, when people used to see the Northern Lights, they used to tell stories to explain and better understand what exactly they were. And this is a really great example of a story that in an oral tradition that was told to explain the Northern Lights. Back then, people didn't have as much access to science and information that we do today. So these stories and traditions and maybe even legends are really important to still remember and reflect on because they help us understand how the people in the past and our ancestors understood things that were so big in a world that we didn't have a lot of answers to. There was no Google back in the old days. So these stories were really important to pass on to generation to tell people about their culture, their history, and the land that they lived on. Now, this takes place in, I'd say, North American indigenous communities. I believe the story is an Alaskan tale, so tales from the Inuit people, indigenous people that live up north in Alaska, Northwest Territories area in the Yukon. But similar stories existed all around the world as well. So there's a lot of different stories in Sweden and Norway and Scandinavian countries, including and as well as in places like Russia, that explain this amazing natural phenomenon. So that's really cool. So if you get a chance, please go ahead and do some online searching about information about the Aurora Borealis. I'm going to post this cool little link I found from BBC, which is the British Broadcasting Corporation. And it's just a little clip that a woman explains a whole bunch of different stories and tales that people used to tell around the world to explain the Aurora Borealis. It's a great video, and it also teaches us great ideas of perspective taking and understanding the points of view of other people from our cultures and those cultures of others around us. So check that out. Next thing I wanted to ask you guys is, what did you think of the book? Let's give it a thumb rating. So thumbs up, you definitely recommend this book. It's a great story. Sideways, if you thought it was an okay story, I think I might recommend it. I'm not sure. Thumbs down if it wasn't your type of story and you probably wouldn't recommend it to a friend. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. I'll let you talk about that with your friends and family. And finally, the last point I want you guys to think about is I want you to think about the character of Aurora. She was a pretty adventurous young girl. Can you guys think of some good juicy words that help describe what kind of person she is? So I just used one a second ago. Adventurous. She had to be adventurous. She wandered off with the caribous and danced in the tundra. She wanted to know what lied beyond the world that she lived in. And so that meant she had to have an adventurous and courageous spirit. There's another word, courageous. Courageous meaning that she had to have courage inside of her and not be afraid. Try to think some juicy words with your friends and family. What words could you use to describe Aurora? Are there any characteristics or things about Aurora that make her a strong person that you see in yourself or in people that you care about? That's another great point to talk about. So let's go over it all together. Is this a fiction or nonfiction story? Next, what kind of rating would you give the story? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down? And then finally, think of some juicy words to describe our main character, who is, of course, Aurora, the story of a young girl who helped create the Northern Lights by collecting colors and putting them in her pocket and throwing them up in the air. That does it for our book talk for today, you guys. I hope you all had a great day. Have a wonderful Monday, and I will see you later. Take care.